I'm Michelle, and this is Dylan. He just turned 3. Hi. And TJ is my husband, and we are clients through mental health, and we also kind of advocate for people whenever we can, and we volunteer and just do different things throughout the community. And as you can see, we're parents, and we just try and help out wherever we can. Let's put you right here.
I'm going to read.
You?
I'm going to read.
Read right here, baby.
Bye-bye.
I don't. All I got is a little story about myself, just how my mom treated me bad when I was a kid. And, you know, she kicked me out when I was 12, and I lived homeless for a while. For a long period of time, actually. Then I ended up getting locked up for stupid stuff that I actually did. And finally straightened up about 10 years ago, to where I actually started caring about the community instead of being part worse about the community. Making the community bad instead of making it good. So now I fight for the community, for the homeless, and for clients who don't have a voice, and they actually do have a voice through me. So that's pretty much.
We met at an SOS meeting, at a Stamp Out Stigma meeting, and at first I didn't want anything to do with him. I just was really shy and kind of was reluctant to kind of be around him, and then slowly his charms kind of got me, and then we kind of went from there.
She took me off the streets, what she did. I touched her, and I touched her. She just freaked out on me when the first time I met her. I said, how you doing? I just lightly touched her on the shoulder. She freaked out. So since then, she's had me touch her more and more until we started getting into a relationship. And then from then on, she's like, well, I can't let you live on the streets, because I was riding my bike from Orland to Willows, which is 17 miles.
Wow.
Every day, just to see her. And then she asked me, I asked her to marry me, and she said no. So, then she asked me to marry her, and I said yes. So.
And now how long's that been?
6 years.
6 years. And how old's Dylan now?
3.
3. All right. So.
It's a challenge.
It's got its ups and downs.
Yeah. Just like it is for every family.
Yeah.
So.
A little harder for us sometimes, but because we have special challenges sometimes. Because I have, I'm bipolar with psychotic episodes, and I hear voices. So those voices in my head make me go crazy, but I drown them out through music and meditation, and just it just helps out to where I can control what I'm doing.
So do you think you'd ever be married, let alone have a family?
No.
And are you glad?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing how life turns out sometimes, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
One time I was losing control of my thoughts, and I told my girlfriend at the time that I was losing control, so she called mental health. Mental health called the police department. The police department closed off the whole block just because I was psychotic episodes. And that was a stigma when they didn't have to close off the whole block. They could have just came up to me and talked to me. I'm a changed man. I'm not violent no more, just because of my past. And I have a violent past. So I just because of that alone, put stigma on me.
Do you think people? I know because you said of your past, but do you think people sometimes associate violence with the mentally ill more than necessary?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, they do. They think that the mentally ill are all violent, but we're not.
You buy.
You know, I'm a very mellow guy. I can walk up and meet you and shake your hand, and you never know I was mentally ill.
Would you like me to cook it?
Okay, great. How about you, Michelle?
No, I typically haven't had a lot of stigma throughout the community. I've had more stigma through the agency than I have throughout the community.
Okay.
The issues that I have with my mental illness are more typically internal. It's not. I have issues with suicidal ideation and depression, so most people don't know unless I'm having issues at that time. You know, unless I attempt suicide or something, nobody knows there's anything typically going on with me, and so. But my issues have been more with. For example, when I wanted to get pregnant and stuff like that, there were people who thought that I should not get pregnant and should not go off my medications and things like that. And so it was kind of an issue. So
Okay.
Yeah.
I basically, with me, my mental illness and everything, like I said, is more depression and suicidal ideation. So it's not something that, like with him, you know, he hears voices and stuff, and so people more can see what's going on with him than they can with me.
Okay.
So it's not like people know that there's really much happening with me, or
Okay.
so.
And do you think though that sometimes it's internalized because you're reacting to what you think people think about you, and then you just deal with that internally, or it's just more a result of depression?
Well, actually, part of my diagnosis also is PTSD.
Okay.
And so that's kind of what's triggered it all to begin with, and that happened when I was 8. So that kind of is what
Okay.
started it all back.
Belongs to the Glenn County Mental Health Drug and Alcohol Commission. And we're both board members, so we like to stay in the loop with the communities. So we attend as much as possible. We hardly miss meetings. So
We used to belong to SOS, but that kind of disbanded.
Okay.
Kind of because of lack of participation. We didn't have a lot of people who were interested in that anymore. And then this really isn't part of the mental health side, but then I belong to the parent partner group, but that's more through the HRA side.
Okay. I think at one time, weren't you guys with the California Network of what is it? The California Network of Mental Health Clinics.
Yeah, technically we both are still clients through there, but we do not have a local chapter that is up here in
Okay.
this region.
Okay.
And again, that is because we don't have enough clients in this area, and so we do belong to the chapter, but we don't have one in our county. So we are members, but not in Glenn County.
Okay, so we don't have a chapter in the area anymore. SOS is kind of, excuse me, kind of fizzled out. So I know, Michelle, that sometimes you feel like you're advocating on behalf of everybody, and you feel like they're not participating enough. So what do you think about all that?
Well, this is something that I struggle with a lot, and I kind of find this on both sides in this and also with the other one that I'm involved in, because I find a lot of people in different areas that I go to kind of have this theory of, well, why don't we offer incentives and stuff to kind of bring people in to get them to come and be a part of it and kind of get them to want to join and want to do that. And I kind of struggle with that personally, because personally I believe that this is something that you should want to do and you should be driven to do, and this is something you're fighting for. These are your rights, these are your everything, and it should be something you're doing because you want to do it. And if you have to I don't know, bribe somebody to come and do it, then they're not there for the right reason. So to me, that doesn't really make a lot of sense.
Right, like sometimes we'll provide a stipend,
Well,
and then when
yeah.
we stop providing the stipend,
And
then the
nobody
participation
comes.
wanes.
So then that kind of shows you that they're not really there because that's why they want to be there, you know. And so I think that that's kind of hard. And then, you know, we were having these MHSA meetings at Harmony House, and then people were coming because we were having cooking group and food was provided and everything. And then I kind of was asking people, I'm like, okay, do you know what these meetings are about? And they're like, yeah, it's what's happening at Harmony House. And I'm like, there's so much more beyond that. And it's just, I don't know, it's a struggle for me that it's, you know, if you have to pay somebody to fight for their rights or know what's, it just, I don't know, it doesn't seem right to me.
Any ideas on what we could ever do about that?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I try constantly to get people involved and to, you know, do that, but it just seems like people, they want me to tell, like, go find out and then come tell them what, I don't know,
They want an advocate, they don't want to do it themselves.
Right.
it's just like there's people who complain about the laws and everything, but they don't want to go vote. It's
Right.
just the same thing.
Yeah, apathy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow. It's a tough question, but it needed to happen because change. Things needed to change. Mental health was going downhill fast. With the Services Act, it changed it to start going back uphill to where the clients were first. When the clients got first, then services got better. And then when they started opening up, like Harmony House, it started being the clients are first. And when they put the clients first, things just sprung into action. More things opened up to where people were more invited to go to mental health and Harmony House and TAY Center, which is Transition Age Youth.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, since they started coming, and they got their services, they got full service partnership, which opened up a little big door for the mentally ill. And they got what they needed. They got wraparound services 24 hours a day. So if they did need something in the middle of the night, there was a small committee that did help them, and that committee was on call.
That was his head.
Mm-hmm.
That committee was on call, so whenever something happened, that person can get help no matter what. And then people that just walked in the Harmony House door can get help if they need insurance or not.
Great.
So, and without that Mental Health Services Act, none of the people could have got the help they needed.
Great. What do you think, Michelle?
Well, I think it was necessary for twofold. I think that, again, it needed to go back to the individual getting a say and what they needed and, you know, what was important to them. Because I think that it kind of went away from that. I think there were too many people who were receiving services that it just wasn't going in a way that they needed it to, and didn't realize they should be able to say, hey, wait a minute, this is not working for me, this is not what I need. Who maybe were taking medications that they shouldn't be, you know, and I think they needed that voice for them. But I also think that MHSA brought mental health kind of in the forefront for a lot of people. I think, you know, the people who maybe didn't want to the tax money going towards mental health, I mean, it just kind of put it out there and made a lot of more people think about mental health and about it, period. And I think that was kind of important, you know. And so I think that was good. Whether they like it or they don't like it, they had to think about it. And I think that was important. No.
Okay, why is that?
I had hoped that a lot of things would be better, but I think that my expectations were too high.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that happens with anything. I think the funds were not there, and I think that maybe we shot too high.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I don't know, I think that in anything that it can, I think that, you know, I think a lot of times your expectations just are greater than what can be met. I think there's been a lot of good things that have happened, but I just think that it just didn't turn out as good as I had hoped.
Yeah. What do you think, TJ?
Well, I thought that it did turn out the way I thought, because even though the homeless haven't been brought up to speed all the way, the homeless are still out there fighting for what they believe in, and a lot of them are choosing to be the homeless. But to where it came up to be, a couple programs didn't turn out the way they were supposed to, but a lot of programs turned out the way that they did. And even though some of the programs like SOS didn't happen, the ASK program is either starting to form or is getting ready to form.
Mm-hmm.
One of the two.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be part of the MHSA.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And it's going to be talking about advocacy. Well, what I like about mental health is, well, before, when I was unstable, I don't know, I couldn't get a grasp of life. I didn't have coping skills. And then I came to this system in Orland and Willows, and this system helped me out. So this system I came from Santa Barbara system to this system, and I'd taken the same meds except different medications changes. And when they changed my medication, it worked out better because they have a great doctor here. Even though he ain't got a bedside manner, but he's a great doctor. He don't believe in pushing meds. He believes in trying to solve systems. So, and then what I like about the system here is they're client orientated. They weren't before, but now they are. So it turned out to be a good system.
Great. Okay. Michelle?
I like that they try and get as much done as they can without overdoing it. I think that can be good. I think that sometimes different fields, I think, sometimes try and push too many unnecessary procedures and different things on you that maybe you don't necessarily need. And I think that currently, at least I know in our county, I think that the idea is, you know, wellness and recovery and trying to get you better and help you to get long-term, you know, what's going to get you better now and kind of get you to stay better longer than just, you know, pacify you along little bit. It's kind of what's going to get you on that long road. And I think that's really a good philosophy and a good way to go with it and teach you tools that are going to help you in the long run.
Mhm.
And I think, you know, the idea of kind of offering peer support and that kind of thing is important because, you know, with the funding not being there, you kind of need to find other ways to depend on yourself kind of thing. And kind of by offering different groups and different activities to where you meet other people and kind of branch out is kind of a good way to do that. I think that's important.
Okay. So Michelle, what do you not like about it?
Well, I think that
She's gonna pull out the list.
no, I think that the main thing about it is I think that there's too many gaps in how things are kind of done and where it should be done. I think that particularly, again, I just am familiar pretty much with our county and how our county is currently doing things. But I think that, you know, I've just kind of noticed that we kind of have this kind of like tendency to go with certain groups and certain things. And I think that sometimes we have certain groups that kind of get pushed aside and kind of left in the you know, unattended, so to speak, you know. And I kind of find it funny when we have these reports and these things come out and say how, you know, we really need to work harder on the Hispanic, they're being underserved. Well, yeah, they're underserved because according to who we can treat and how we can treat and everything, they don't qualify. So we're supposed to work harder on that population because that's what our studies say and everything else. But what about the people who need our services, who qualify for our services, who we should be targeting after, but they don't meet the criteria of who we're supposed to be targeting? That doesn't make sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
And just as a normal average citizen, certain things don't make sense that should make sense, you know. And I think that when I look at the suicide rate and I look at the different things that are happening in our county, just certain things seem obvious to me. And I'm like, why are we not targeting that group? Why are we not going after this group? You know, why are we not focusing more on, you know, a certain area? But it seems like, to me, we're focusing more on the drug addict people. We're focusing more on the Hispanic people. And I'm like, what about just the regular folks that are out there?
Mm-hmm.
I don't get that, you know. And when I understood the MHSA plan to be the underserved and all of that, I understood it to be the people who maybe were the low income people, maybe who worked at Walmart, who didn't quite make enough to get Medi-Cal, but that's what I understood it to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yet that's not how it turned out. So that's where I have that's what I don't like.
Okay.
Because to me, they're out there who need help, but they're not getting it. And they're in that where they don't quite qualify for CMET. They make too much, but not enough.
Right.
That's where it doesn't make sense to me. Those are the people out there right now who are struggling. So do they go get addicted to drugs so that then they can get arrested? So then they become an FSP? So then they can, I mean, how does that work?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
That's what I don't like.
Okay. Great. TJ, anything you not like?
There's a few, but some of them are just internal. Like when you have a problem with one person and you complain it to a new person and they forget, then you remind them and they still forget, you get a little upset.
Mm-hmm.
So you just gotta wait until they get better back into their job before you can get everything right. But then things happen and all of a sudden, and then you're like, you know, things are changing for the better. So
I mean, as always, I just think that finding a way to help more people and, you know, get more people to understand understand their rights and understand how to be able to get their, get the services they need and what services they are allowed to have, understand what's available to them, what they should be getting, how they should be getting it, and all that, I think is really important, because I think there's a lot of different services that are available for people that a lot of people don't know they can get, how to get, and I think that's the part that's just really difficult.
Right. And sometimes my bosses, the board of supervisors, don't want me to tell people what's going on.
But I mean, I just think that just for like the average people, I think that's kind of hard. I think a lot of people don't understand that, whether it be, if you don't have Medi-Cal, go try and get CMSP. If you don't have CMSP, because I think it's better for people who are struggling to go get help somehow. Don't struggle with it. Go get help.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Personally, I mean, I think it's fine. For me, it's never been, my doctors and Dr. Zadra have always worked together, so I've not ever had that be an issue. I think that always should be the case. I think you should always have your primary care doctor and your doctor work together. I think that's important. So I'm kind of confused as to why most people don't already have that. I don't understand that. That's the first thing when I got my doctor. The first thing they said was, "Can you fax back and forth?" They've always been connected with each other. So, I think that's important. I think everybody should automatically do that. And I think if they can't, if this is the way to do that, I think that's great. Because, they should be, there could be something going on with your psych meds that's affecting your physical health. And it could, that is important. I got diabetes from my psych med. And, that's something that, can happen. So I think it's important that happen.
Okay.
I think it's a great idea. Reason why is if you have them both together, one doctor can't really mess up over the other doctor. That way, if the one doctor orders psych meds, the pharmacist can make sure that they don't interact, and the other doctor knows that he got this medicine, so he can't order a medication that'll interact with this medication.
Mm-hmm.
So you get the two together, and both of them will react in the same way. Great. So, and hopefully they'll come up with records that are in the same.
Working on it.
So, get the records in the same, so mental health and primary care will be in one. As soon as that happens, then everything will probably run a lot smoother.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
And up until then, things are going to be a little rough getting there.
Okay. All right. Well, anything else that two of you want to say while you got the floor? Well, I really appreciate it, and thank you. You know how much I value both of you, because I think you guys really make a difference for your community, and I really appreciate that. So thank you very much for doing this today.
No problem.